guy.
super high voice. I'm gonna be the good-looking guy. You're the ugly guy.
That's right.
Plus, you got the bald head. So what can you say?
Hey, yo, come on, man. Just started the show. Quit picking on me.
Hey, it's just Jody's he's just jealous. He knows what looks better.
Whatever, man. Whatever. I mean,
hey, you need to come to Florida. You'll get the same tan like I have.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I do like your nice cafe colored skin, you know. Like that's the way my wife's is, you know, Filipino, nice cafe, mocha skin. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Yeah. And then you got your son who's all little light skinned, and my kids are going, how come, Dad, we got a little bit of you? That sucks. We want more, Mom.
Hey, I don't know, man. I was watching some old podcasts you did on Facebook the other day, and yeah, I think you're hitting on somebody else last time I saw you on podcast.
He is, you know. I'm glad you brought that up because it was making me a little uncomfortable. I'm like, he's hitting on all the guests here.
I'm kind of getting yeah. I don't know how I feel about this now.
I'm liking Georgie, man. That's good, man. Awesome. So, obviously, welcome to another episode of Detail Memoirs. We always have a good time, and there's so much that goes on before we go on screen that we probably ought to have a camera that records it because it would actually be some pretty funny outtakes.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty inappropriate right before, but that's on me. So, welcome to Detail Memoirs. As always, we have got the awesome guests. We wanted to get you guys on for quite a while. We saw you at SEMA.
Yep.
So
that's great.
Yeah, it was super fun. And, you know, it's funny because when I reached out to George, I'm like, George, I need to have you on the podcast. And he goes, well, you realize my son's the boss.
That's
He's like, he runs the business. So you got to have my son on. So that's why we titled this episode, Dad, You Work for Me.
Every day. From the day he was born until I quit being his father. And that's going to be a long time.
That's right.
That's good, man. So let's talk about how you guys got started.
I'll let him start with that.
Well, do you want to hear? I mean, I don't want to put you guys asleep, but do you want to hear my story?
Go for it.
All right, I'm ready.
Rather the Glozz Garage story because I think that's more interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about the Glozz Garage story.
No, don't let him lie to you. He's got to talk for a little bit. This guy's
okay, there we go.
This guy's been polishing forever.
So just a quick run through how I got involved with the automotive industry. I was born in 1968, and I'm going to cut it short because I don't want to put people out there to sleep. Out in Southern California, and my father had a body shop ever since I could even remember. You know, every day after school, our summer vacations, winter vacations, were at the shop. And I'm the youngest of four, so I had to hurry up and catch up to these guys that, you know, already knew how to primer, paint, you know, and polish. But back then, it was a lot more different than what it is now. You know, you had pretty much your rotary, your 3M, what we called peanut butter compound, and you had a glazing and your finishing. So you didn't have much to work with. You know, coming from an auto body industry, moving on to that, you know, I ventured on as when I grew older and learned different techniques on how to work on these cars, you know, different paint techniques. I was pretty much more in the auto body and paint industry growing up. And that's kind of where I evolved into where I'm at today. Never in my dreams that I thought that he was going to follow my footsteps with dealing with cars. You know, I had different plans for him, but you know, it's not my life, it's his life. This is his choice, and I support everything that he wants to do.
That's awesome.
I made him talk because usually he tells me all sorts about my grandpa would work him to death. And I just think it's kind of cool because, and it just kind of dawned on me the other day thinking about, I've never done a podcast before, so I'm a little nervous, but I was like kind of thinking about his story versus my story. And his was like forced to work on cars. And then mine was like, he wanted me always playing. He didn't want me, when he was doing side jobs in the garage, he didn't want me working with him. He wanted me outside playing. He didn't put me to work ever, this and that. But I just somehow still found a way to get in the garage and make something and mess it up and then him have to fix it. And just kind of, it was cool. Like he was forced to do it. And I just kind of was trying to get into doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Dad pushed him away. I'm like, dude, you don't want to get into this industry. I mean, it's a beautiful industry. It's amazing what you can do with your hands, and it's beautiful to see that you have a car pretty much, and you're transforming that car that came in that needs a lot of help, and by the time you're done, you're admiring what you've done with your hands, you know. And it's just a beautiful thing. But yeah, I kept on pushing them like, yo, don't be in the garage with me. I'm doing this to, you know, help provide for the family. You know, it was my side gig. I grew up in the auto body industry, like I said earlier, and I've always been in that industry. And when I moved to Florida, I got out of it, but I always was back in the garage making extra income. My wife didn't work at the time. She watched the kids, watched him growing up. So I was pretty much the breadwinner and kept on doing what I did. And he just wouldn't get out of the garage. So I put him to work, put him to stand till his fingers bled, and he kept on coming back.
That's awesome. So let me ask you a question there, because why didn't you want your son in the garage? What was it about that was like, you know what, son, I want you to go to college, or I want you to be a doctor? What was the real driver for you not wanting him to be a garage head?
So I wanted him to follow the footsteps of his older sister, which she went to college. She received her master's and went on and had a professional, you know, career. I didn't want him to have to endure the struggles that I did growing up. So as a parent, as a father, you want better for your children. So I wanted him to be better than me. I wanted him to fill those gaps, my shortcomings. I want him to, you know, do something where he didn't have to work as hard as I did to be able to provide for his family, so to speak. I mean, yes, you could make great money doing what we do, but you have to be careful. You could, as a business owner doing what we do, you could set a number according to the lifestyle you want to have.
And the reason why I asked that question is, for the past couple decades, there's been a strong push away from the trades, right? And so now there are a lot of kids that are interested in working with their hands. They're interested in being in construction or plumbing or working on cars. And they've been told that, you know what, this isn't really a good career for you, right? And I love that Georgie was still driven to go, you know what? No, Dad, I want to get my hands dirty. I like being in the garage. So Georgie, talk about, you know, what drove you, you know, to be in the garage with your dad, but also to create, you know, this business.
I don't know. I kind of think of myself like a caveman.
I think we lost him.
No, we're here. Just for some reason,
the video just went out. Video went out.
So
I got like caveman mindset. Like I just like to get stuff shiny, if that makes sense. Like all my brain, like I see something, I'm like, let's get this shiny. But I used to ride bikes and scooters and skateboards. And I mean, even from like then, which I was like 10, I would sand the paint off the bike and then get it all prepped and be like, all right, Dad, I need you to spray this. And I mean, that's what we would do. We would just constantly, I was just always doing stuff like that. And then I switched at like 14. I started to get an interest in cars, and I would just do I just watch YouTube. I didn't drop out of school, but I just didn't go to. I did online school, which meant I just watched YouTube and played Call of Duty all day. But I started watching cars.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, I started watching cars.
The truth comes out,
and
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I started watching like YouTube videos. That's when like car vlogs and stuff were starting to come out, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like, there's so much to learn. That's what I love about cars. It's like even and detailing. You could know everything and still have to know more, if that makes sense. There's never like right. So I got into cars like that, and then I was actually sponsored at a skate park a little bit farther from us, and my mom would take me back and forth to our the events we had to go do, and I was like convinced her to stop and check out this Challenger at a Dodge dealership. It was brand new, 2015, just came out with the new body style, black of course, and I I convinced her to test drive it, and then she ended up buying it. And we got like the paint protection program with it, right? So I'm like 14, I can't even drive the car, but they gave us this bucket with like soap, leather cleaner, wax, everything like that, and this paint protection bucket. That was a huge scam, by the way. But they gave us that bucket, right? So I'm sitting in the back seat looking at it. I'm like, damn, this car is really cool, and I'm gonna like wash it and stuff. So I was doing homeschool, so I would just literally like every 3 days wash and wax this car. Like it was my job. And she just worked up the road at a hospital, and she would take the car always clean as could be to work. And then our coworkers were like, hey, you know, who keeps your car so clean? Can you know, can you give me the car? And she's like, oh, my son does it. So I finally got my first client. It was a $40 detail on a Dodge Charger Daytona. Yeah, right. like a 09 style one, right?
Yeah.
He smoked in it. It was all, I probably hadn't been washed in years. It was terrible.
It was the worst car.
Yeah, it was really bad. And I remember like I was super pumped. I'm like $40, like, you know, 20 more bucks I can get the new Call of Duty. And I go outside, you know, start on it at like 8:30 in the morning. I see the school bus pick all my friends up. And I'm like, you suckers, you know, you're going to school. I'm about to make some money here. And then 3:30 comes by, and they got dropped off, and I was still working on that car, sweating my stuff off. And
yeah.
Like, that school bus goes, I'm like, damn, it's, you know, I'm still not done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like the first job, and then I went from that to another coworker, to a family member, and then this and that, and then we got cheap Vistaprint cards made, and it was just kind of like a snowball effect of just like, I don't know, it's just fun to do. Like I'd do it. My dad would come home, he'd be like, this looks like shit, you gotta hit this, and then get the big rotary out, hit the headlights, and then he'd cook some dinner for me afterwards. We'd be hanging out outside, you know, I'd eaten some steak, and I'm like, this is really, like, I loved the lifestyle that I was able to provide for everybody. Like, it was just a cool environment all the way around. And I was like, you know, I could slave for someone, or I could, I mean, because we all know, we all do this. It's definitely, you know, hard, not easy. Nothing is easy by you're doing everything. But I'd rather do that and get the environment. I mean, work with my dad, my girlfriend and mother of my child, and then I work with my best friend from high school. That is the only reason that I graduated. And so I have this like environment we made from it, and I don't know, it just kind of just went from there, I guess.
And I kept my eye on him. You know, I kept my eye on him, watched him progress, watched him get better, and I let him figure it out. And I stepped in when I felt that I needed to step in. And, you know, I would go to work. I mean, I had a report at work at 5 in the morning, and I was out by 3:30, you know, working in the corporate setting, worked for a company called Brunswick. We built sport yachts, big yachts. So I worked there for a total of 13 years, but this is what he chose to do. So I kept my eye on him, and I saw that he was, you know, developing himself as a professional, and he took full responsibility of that car, and he tried to do it to the best of his ability. So little by little, I would give him tips. I would help him out. And basically it got to the point where I said, son, and of course I talked to Mama Bear, you know, I'm like, you know, we need to do something to make sure that he is doing it and that he sees a progression of what he's doing. And it was never intended to be where it's at today, but we made, you know, I provided stuff for him and I helped him because you were what, 15 at the time?
15, 16.
15. So he couldn't even go out to, you know, go get liability insurance.
Nope.
He couldn't go get his license. He couldn't do things correctly. And I told him, I sat him down and I said, look, we're going to do this. And if this is what you really want, we're going to help you by providing insurance for you. We're going to go ahead and get the license for you. We're going to do this correctly, because if you have, I see the potential in you and I see where you want to go with it, and you're getting better and better all the time, but we're going to make sure that you do it correctly. And those were the foundations, and those were the steps that we took to get where we're at today.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, part of that is the progression of an old school mindset that, I mean, and you and I are real close in age. I was born in 67.
There you go.
So the mindset back then and when we were growing up is that was manual labor. Nobody wanted to do that, right? You didn't want to, you didn't want to do that stuff. And I was never discouraged from working in the automotive industry. But it wasn't, it wasn't the A list, right? You were doing fine, but the ones that went to college and everybody wanted you to be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. And so I think that there's been a huge shift in the industry because it's not just, and there's still people out there that have a bucket and they're on the street corner and it's still $40 for a detail. And I feel really sorry for those guys because they don't see the potential. It's not what it was back then. It's elevated. The whole industry is elevated. And so, you see people that are very successful and have a really great lifestyle. And I'm similar to you in the sense that I like the lifestyle that owning my own business affords me. It's worth extra money for me not to. And I worked in the corporate environment for a number of years in the IT world. And it was, there's a dress code and you have to have your hair cut a certain way and all of that stuff. And I just shut it. So, but the point is with that is, I came out of an environment being our age where I had long hair. I mean, seriously, I had long hair. I had hair down the middle of my back. And when I went in the corporate environment, I had to, cut my hair and I had to, you can't say certain things and you have to be a little more politically correct.
Right.
And that's all fine and well. And I don't have any ill will towards people that I've got, 3 daughters and one of them's graduated from college and the other one's in college and the third one isn't, but they do their own thing, whatever they want to do. And I think that you can be successful doing what you want to do. It's that having the right mindset and going into it. If you don't have a poverty mindset, if you're not like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm just going to go wash cars. There's so many people that make 6 figures or more detailing cars and planes and motorcycles and boats and all that I don't think that the stigma is not there anymore. And so I think people understand, oh, here we go. What happened to your hair? It's the detailing industry is what it is. I didn't get enough personal protection equipment in the compound.
And you're absolutely correct. Pretty much like my entire life, as far as I can remember growing up, I grew up in the auto body industry, like I said, as a young man. And then I ended up in Florida in the 2000s, I'd say probably like mid or early 2000s. And I went to work for a corporation setting, and I never have ever been in that type of an environment. And you're absolutely right. You have to pretty much change who you are and conform to your environment. Mm-hmm. Back then I had to wear safety glasses and earplugs and follow certain policies and procedures. And it was very hard. It was difficult because I had never been in that particular setting before. And reason that I did it is because I wanted to kind of switch it up and not have this young man fall into my footsteps. Yeah. So I kind of did that for that particular reason. But nevertheless, I would never trade what I've learned throughout the course of my life, because I ended up doing this with him on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We work together every day. And, I'm so fortunate because even when we're not at work, he still wants to hang out with me.
Well, that is good. A blessing, man. That is good.
It's a blessing.
So where are you guys today, right? We started out 15. Dad and mom said, all right, we got to get this aligned right so that, long term we have a nice trajectory for your business. Where are you guys today?
Today we're currently in a 5,000 square foot shop. We have 4 people on our team now. Trying to get, really, I don't even know what it's going to sound bad. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what my goal is in the detail. Like I'm happy with what I do now, but I am kind of getting to the point where I don't know if I want to go try to chase, doing, we do training classes for SB3. That's a lot of fun. I don't know if I want to go down that route. I kind of want to find, we like doing the toy drives and the canned food drives. I love doing that stuff. And I kind of want to see if I can't make something of doing charity events with all of the detailers to where you get players, small players, everybody, like Toys for Tots, but Glossy Jolly Drive or Cars for Cans like everywhere, and like kind of make my focus on doing something like that because I like training. It's a lot of fun to help people out, and people helped out us along the way a huge amount.
Right.
But I like really want to figure out something cool to do with all the detailers to where it's like you literally can make an impact. Like our last canned food drive we did 20,000 non-perishable items to our local food pantry, and like there's stuff like that that literally makes a gigantic difference in the actual world. And how crazy would it be if some people just washing cars with buckets like actually make a difference in the world?
And there's a lot of people that do that. Oscar Hernandez in Ventura, California, does a whole lot of stuff for the community. In fact, I think he does more of that than he does detailing. Autism car show and food drives and everything. And then Scott Mesha in Maine does a thing every year. It's coming up right now.
Operation
Sleigh Shine, where they help out vets and they do some stuff for vets. And there's people all over the country that do that. Harry Sandwith and Jim Gogan, and it's been done here at the Rad Company. And so, yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can do that have a big impact. And I think that is, if I was to say, what are you the most proud of in the detailing industry? It's the efforts that people do that is above and beyond substance living. And I think that's when you can say that you're successful, is when you're thinking outside of just your mouth and your ass, right? I gotta have somewhere to sit and I gotta have something to eat.
That's the honest truth. I love the rawness out of it.
Yeah, man, that's how it is. You think outside of that. You're like, what can I do to help? What can I do to reach out? And Jody and I have been lucky to be involved in a lot of those things. We sponsor a lot of events. There's a lot of IDA events that we go to, and there's been situations where there's been detailers that have been down on their luck and they had their shop stolen or their tools stolen, and we just reach out and do stuff. We've been really fortunate. Some of the companies like Flex and Rupes and Buff and Shine and Lake Country that give away just thousands and thousands of dollars worth of product in these situations. And I think that is for all of the bad that's out there and all the BS you see on social media and everything, there's a lot of good out there that people are doing, like you guys doing the canned food drives and all that. And I don't know about you, but I just get that sense of, there's stress, but it's different. In the corporate world, you got to keep your ass puckered and you got to keep your nose clean. And in the detailing world, you still have to do that to a certain extent, but you get to do it your way. Right.
All right. I'm glad you touched on that because I was literally thinking that when you guys were saying it. It's like, yeah, those are the rules you got to confine to when you are in a corporation like that. But it's also kind of, I don't want to say easier, but they lay it out for you, right? And you can go, that's what I love about detailing is you could be suit and tie detailer with with all fancy lab coat on, doing this, that, or you could be $40 bucket washing.
Right.
And there's no cap or no limit, and no one says this is how you have to do it, this is how you have to do it. And that's what you're saying about mindset. I think that's huge. It's like you get to dictate. You can make by yourself $100,000 a year, $20,000 a year. Like the only person that gets to say what you do, how you do it is yourself. And yeah, corporations are hard to confine to that, but it's also hard to wake up every morning and say, I'm not going to play Call of Duty, I'm going to go to work and do really good. So,
yeah.
Like it's a double-edged sword on everything, and you got to pick your poison. Like, what do you want to do?
So I have a question for you. So it sounds like you have a really good dynamic working together, right? I mean, and it's bleeding across every aspect of your life. What have you learned working together that you think has really impacted your business that would be helpful for others?
Checks and balances. You gotta have people that are assigned. I think when we first started, when we first started doing it together, we were at each other's throats a lot of the times because we're both trying to put our hands in places that our hands weren't good at, right? So you got to learn, like, okay, this person isn't going to do that. They're not good at that. And then you flip it. Like people have, like we have our design roles in here that we're good at doing them. And that's how we do. I'm not going to try to do the stuff he does. He's not going to try to do the stuff I do. We just know our place. We both treat each other with respect. And we had to get rid of that father and son thing. Like, it's good. It's great because we can just be like, hey, like, listen. But you got to kind of put it to the side. It's like there's no upper and lower. You're equal. You know your place and you do what you're good at. And it was just kind of figuring that out. I mean, I still haven't had a job to this day. I've never like clocked in somewhere besides here. And so like I didn't know, you know, there was just a lot that I didn't know, and thank God he was so patient with me and willing to teach me. But he comes from all this background of knowing everything, how things are run, blah blah blah. And I'm just like kind of here, like I can wash a card very nicely. And so just learning what our skills, like I still had to learn my skills and figure out what I was going to be good at. And he was, you know, I mean, just kind of knowing our places, and that's the biggest thing I know.
So he's absolutely 100% correct on that. And I learned my place right away because I treat him equal to me. I give him all the respect that I would give if I had a partner that was, you know, my age and had the experience or had more experience than me. That's what I do with him. I give him his space. He pretty much runs the shop. I do, and I jump in wherever I feel that I need to. I know my place. I know my role. And believe me, I learned it quick because I came in with an attitude one time, and he sent me home.
Jody's trying to send me home. He's trying to.
Let me tell you, that was hard for me to take in. That was hard. I'm like, yo, I was ready. I'm like, yo, I'm your dad. How you gonna send me home?
Out, but chase me around.
The chancla.
But in his defense, you know, this is his pretty much operation. I'm just helping him and filling in the gaps where he needs me. When he sent me home, it was my fault. I had an attitude, and there was employees on the floor. And how would it have looked if I would have sat there and argued and said, "Yo, I'm your dad. How are you going to send me home?" You know, I went home despite the fact that I knew that he needed me here, and he knew he needed me here. But he did the right thing, and he sat there and he with the stern voice and told me, "Go home."
Yep. And I think that's good to be able to. I really think that's one of the most important things you said is understanding your place and also being able to step outside of the role of father and son, because there's so many couples that we talk to that are husband and wife, you know, you guys father and son, we break all the rules in business as well. I mean, there's 4 owners of our company, and 2 of us are brother-in-laws, 2 of them are brothers, and Jody was one of the guy's best friend for 30 years. And so we break all those rules. And so you have to be able to, when you step into work, you're partners,
exactly.
You know, and sometimes feathers get ruffled and everything. But at the end of the day, you go, hey, okay, we did this wrong. Let's readjust. Jody and I call it adjusting the knobs, you know,
right?
You adjust the dials and you're like, well, that didn't work. Let's tone that down a little bit or whatever. And you go back to doing something, or you start doing something different. And I think that's the key is, you know, so many people don't understand, like how long has it been since you started out? Since you're 15, how old are you now?
I just turned 22 yesterday.
Happy birthday!
Hey, happy birthday, Georgie!
That's right.
I drank too many last night. I had to give myself some pep.
Right, there you go. So, you know, we were talking to a gal the other day, and they're like, how long you been in business? We just started our 14th year at this company. And it's crazy how fast it goes, but it's also crazy how long it takes, right? I mean,
I get that.
And I think that's always having a drive and going forward. And, you know, we've talked about it before. One of the owners was like, we're not getting there fast enough. And I'm like, yeah, but what if we'd already gotten there? What would you do? Right? If you got to that point, everybody kind of has a tendency to sit back on their laurels and do nothing. And it's like, you know, you guys now in a 5,000 square foot shop, when you were 15, if you'd have been sitting there looking at that black Charger going, you know, someday I'm going to be in a 5,000 square foot shop. I'm going to have 4 employees. There's no way.
Yep. No, I think that's really good, like what you said, because I mean, we have those conversations just like everybody else. We'll have our weeks where we're slow. We'll have our weeks where we're slam packed. And I tell them, like, you got to sit back and enjoy the journey. Sometimes we're laying on the floor at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, holy shit, why did we take all this work in? And sometimes it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're like, all right, you want to go get some beer or something? Like, enjoy the journey. Like, it's not going to just happen. And there's, I mean, you could clock in 9 to 5. You want something stable and this and that. That's what you want to do. Go do it. But that's what's fun to me is like, what's going to happen next week? I have no idea. Let's see what happens. Well, we're going to get it done every single time we get it done, no matter what. In the month, it's going to get done. And that's what's just so, I just love looking back at it. Like, I'll laying on the floor. I'm like, hey, you remember, you know, last month we were so bored, and now it's like, what's going on? It's just enjoy the journey. And that's what I love. I love doing it with him, with everybody. It's just, I don't know. I wouldn't choose to do anything else other than this. 1000%.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, this has been such a fun conversation. How do people get connected with you guys?
I do have OnlyFans. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, really? Wow.
See, you shouldn't have said that because that earlier part where Jody was hitting on
All
you.
right, man. All right.
Yeah,
Where do I subscribe to that? I'm right there, baby.
No.
Yeah, definitely Instagram, just Glozz Garage, and then our Facebook is Glozz Garage Detailing. And then we have a couple of YouTube videos. We want to start playing in that. I'm good at like doing work and stuff. I need to stop being closed-minded and learn how to do some videos, because we do some pretty cool stuff. Like, we're actually like diehard car guys, so we're constantly doing like big fat burnouts and the road out there and car meets and this and that, and like, so we do some fun stuff, and we need to stop, we need to get online. But definitely Facebook, Instagram, we try to post, stay active, this and that.
That's awesome, man.
Want to do some training, SB3 training in Florida, we're fine. So if you just want to come on vacation, go to the beach.
Look us up.
Come
look us up.
Right.
Come hang out. Our door is always open to any detailer that finds himself in Florida. Come hang out.
Which part of Florida are you in?
We are in the Space Coast. We are in Rockwood, Florida. So we're just right like 10 minutes away from Cocoa Beach. We're like what's that place? Ron John's. It's a pretty cool
Space Center.
Yeah, I love Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So
great strip clubs.
So we can't wait to see everybody at Mobile Tech Expo.
Yep, we will be there for sure.
Seeing you guys over at SEMA. I had a wonderful time.
Yep, I did too. It was really good. So, everybody go to MTE. You guys will be at home. No?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we might do something. We'll figure it out soon.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned.
Something?
If you guys do something, let us know. We'll push it out on the podcast and all everywhere. So just let us know.
Yep,
that'd be super fun.
We'll figure it out. We'll let you know ASAP.
All right, let us know. So, well, guys, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we were very honored to be here.
No, well, thank you. Man. And those of you that are tapping in, please remember to go out to YouTube and subscribe.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's been a lot of fun because I've been doing, we've been doing this show for over
2 years.
2 years. I mean, there's over 200 episodes of Road FS Detail Memoirs, talking to men and teams like you guys, vendors, suppliers, women. And it's really fun to look back at all the people that we've talked to over the years. And I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of good stuff. So go check it out. And, we're going to check you same time, same bad channel just next week.
So,
all right. Happy holidays. See you.
Merry Christmas.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.